use your God power. Get everything you ever wanted and live the life of your dreams. The Master's Course. Copyright 2010 by Richard Lee McKim Jr. All rights reserved. Let the quest for knowing begin. What happens to your avatar life form when it dies? How would it die anyway? What is the format of the computer world? First of all, since it is your representation, created by you and under your direct and total control, how could it die without your permission and desire for it to do so? The simple answer is that it cannot. You have to decide from your broader perspective as a human that you want to have your avatar die and cease to exist in the virtual world. This is exactly the same for our physical life experience. We don't die here in the physical unless we have already decided to from our non-physical level. It may seem like an unexpected thing from our immersed viewpoint, but it is not. How could it be? How could your avatar self in the computer world of Second Life die unexpectedly? I can see it now. You log onto the computer and start the program, and a message pops up and says, your computer representation has had an accident and has died. Your account has been closed. You would say, what the? But that doesn't happen. It can't. You are always in charge of your representation and expression in that world. However, if your avatar self were self-aware and self-conscious like us, and in the same immersed condition, how would you quit playing in that world? He would have to die, and he wouldn't know it was coming, would he? You could run him out in front of a computer-generated bus, and he could get run over and totally pixelated to death. Luckily, our computer avatars aren't self-aware like we are, and we can just stop logging on. We don't have to figure out some way to kill off our creation representation to stop playing in that world. It is true that there are many deaths in the virtual world. That is to say, that people get tired of it and decide to cancel their account. That is like a death, because they are withdrawing from the experience. However, their avatar doesn't just fall over with a pixelated heart attack. Instead, they just disappear and are never seen again. But just because they are dead in that virtual world doesn't mean that they don't still exist in another world. They do. This is an interesting thought. What if a person is an avid Second Life player slash experiencer, and he dies in his human life? He would die in two worlds simultaneously. He would be withdrawing from the computer world of Second Life, while at the same time withdrawing from the physical world of physical life. However, as always, he would still be a being of pure positive energy in the non-physical world, where he is immortal and can never die. Will he represent himself again in the physical world? Undoubtedly. That is a very good way to understand death in our world. Not only can no one else alter your reality without your agreeing to it, but no one else can kill you either. The invitation and the opportunity have to be created by you. Even when you die in this physical world, it is only a withdrawal from the physical experience in the same way as it was a withdrawal from the virtual world experience. It doesn't mean that you cease to exist, but instead that you no longer are represented in that particular incarnation or that particular world. So the better way to explain death in any world is to say that you are no longer representing yourself there. In the virtual world, that means that you disappear, never to be seen again. In the physical world, that means that you fall over with a heart attack or you get hit by a bus. It all depends on the normal format or usual method of withdrawing from that world or that expression. What if you decided to die in the virtual world and you disappeared as usual, but then many years later decided to get back into the virtual world again? You set up a new account because you've forgotten your old information, or maybe you just want to do something different this time. So you decide to try a different sex, and you have a different name and a different look. What would you call that? It's still you, but your representation in the virtual world is different this time. Would you call it reincarnation? If you reincarnated back into the virtual world, wouldn't you remember some of the same people and the same places? Remember that the normal entry in the virtual world is quick. You don't have to go through birth and then grow up as a teen and finally become an adult 20 years later. You get to come in as an adult instantly. So reincarnation in the virtual world is a much faster process than in our world here in the physical. Can you imagine how funny and difficult it would be if you had to immerse into the virtual world in the same way as we do here on Earth? You would have to find two people who are different sexes and want to have kids. Then you would have to emerge as an infant and grow up with them before you could eventually get to do your own thing. But immersion in our world does give us the realistic experiences that are so exciting and fun to experience that it makes it worthwhile. Number 4, marionette puppets as representations. Using marionettes as examples can be a good way to see how the real controls and decisions are managed. Like the marionettes, the decisions and controls come from a much higher level of consciousness and are only represented at the lower level of matter, or in this case, wood. The people controlling the marionettes are the ones who are controlling the movements and doing the talking. But it is supposed to seem as if the marionettes are performing and singing. Video example, marionette experience. What is this video about? In this video example, these two marionettes are singing and dancing to some jazz music. They are pretty good dancers for being made out of wood. When they are singing, their mouths open and close as if they were actually singing the words. It is entertaining.
For best results, pause this video at this point here, and watch the video example mentioned in the segment. The links are located in the book chapter, and at the end of the book. If you are watching this online, you will find the link for this video example listed in the notes section. Then, after watching the associated video example, continue watching this video from here. To continue, go to How to Use Your God Power, chapter number 10, segment number 6. Let your quest for knowing continue.